Hey guys, Ducks Hockey and More's coming back at you. It's been a minute, but I'm back. It's been real busy at work, but the Stanley Cup final is set. We are about to get it on Saturday, game one. We're going to talk about that a little bit and a little bit about the NHL coaching changes, so stick around. Okay, hey, so Stanley Cup final. Can you believe it? The Cinderella team in the East, the Florida Panthers, who barely got in, they kind of nudged out Pittsburgh right there at the end, got in as the wild card, the number 2 wild card, right? Last team to make the playoffs. But Ducks Hockey and More fans, you know, I've said it before. Everything resets when the playoffs start, right? The race to get in, that's the first part. The regular season, just getting in. Got to get to the playoffs, right? Once the playoffs start, it all starts over. Okay? Any team can win. It's on. So here we go. Florida makes it. Look at what they've done, okay? They beat the mighty Boston Bruins in round 1. Then they take on the Toronto Maple Leafs and take care of them. Then the Carolina Hurricanes. These are the top teams in the East, okay? Bruins, Maple Leafs, Carolina, swept Carolina. And here they are, Stanley Cup final, right? Then you look at the West, okay? The Vegas Golden Knights, great team, very well-rounded, very just overall, when you look at their entire team and how the team of players and how they've developed them and just put the right pieces together, they play like one cohesive unit that is very difficult to beat. So let's dive in a little bit about these two teams in the Stanley Cup final, and then we'll talk towards the end about some head coaching stuff. So the changes in the NHL on the head coaching side. So let's talk Florida and Vegas. Here we go. You can't talk about the Florida Panthers and not mention two different players, okay? Starting with Matthew Tkachuk. Now, I'm not a big Tkachuk fan when it comes to his play and his personality out there, okay? Not a big fan of some of the things that he does on the ice, right? He's an agitator. And I'd be a hypocrite by saying that I hate the guy because Ryan Kessler, former Anaheim Duck, who I really liked I loved him as a Duck. He was an agitator and kind of like this too. But Matthew Tkachuk plays pretty dirty. He does a lot of things that I'm just like, dude, really? Really? And I've talked about it before in previous videos. I'm just not a big fan. Now, as a player, skilled hockey player, this guy's money, right? I mean, here's his stats, just his regular season. 109 points in the regular season, 40 goals, 69 assists. His first season as a Panther. Okay, and Florida struggled. They weren't looking so good. It was almost like, man, what happened? That big trade in the offseason between Calgary and Florida that sent Tkachuk to Florida and Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar back to Calgary. I thought Calgary won that trade. I really did. But now you're looking at it and you're going, not so much. Florida, they knew what they were doing. And they got Matthew Tkachuk, and he's proving that he was worth those high-quality players that Florida gave up to get him, right? Because here they are, the Stanley Cup final. In the very first season he's played with them. In the playoffs, Tkachuk's been money. Okay, he's got 4 game-winning goals this year so far, 3 of them in overtime. Okay, he is second in playoff scoring currently, okay, with 21 points. He's got, in 16 games, 21 points, 9 goals, 12 assists. I mean, the guy's just dominating out there, right? So it's unbelievable. And like I said before, Boston, Toronto, Carolina, they just went right through the 3 best teams in the East, handled them. So it's hard to say, or it's hard not to just say, hey, Florida's probably got this, right? They just keep rolling the way they're going. Vegas is going to put up a fight, but Florida, if they keep playing the way they're playing, I think they've got the best shot at winning the Cup. And you can't forget about Bobrovsky. Okay, this guy is 11-2 since he came into. He didn't start the playoff series with Boston, so he came in late. But since he started, he has been the starter ever since. Right, since he's been going in the playoffs, he's 11-2. with a 935 save percentage and a 221 goals against average. So this guy is money in net. He's got a history. We know Sergei Bobrovsky is good. I mean, you're looking at a lot of the talk in the NHL, if you read a lot of the articles and whatnot, are talking if Florida wins the Cup, which they very, very, very well, it's going to be between Tkachuk and Bobrovsky as far as the Conn Smythe winner. Those two players, it kind of comes down to this series. If Bobrovsky stands on his head and pulls it off, and Tkachuk is kind of held at bay by Vegas's defense, but the Panthers still win the Cup, Bobrovsky is going to be the Conn Smythe winner. You watch. Goaltending and defense wins championships. How many times have I said that? Ducks hockey and more fans, you know. That's I preach that. Goaltending and defense. And then, of course, you build your team around that center position, having solid center depth, and then good defense, good goaltending. You will go far in the playoffs. Anyways, so there you go. Two big impact players for Florida. Let's talk a little bit about Vegas. Vegas is just a good, their offense and their defense combined. I mean, they're just a well-rounded, very good, solid team. They've got several players with like 15, 14, and a couple with 15 points. Barbashev, Carlson, Marchessault. I mean, these guys are consistently good. Eichel's got he's his first playoffs ever. Okay, since he was drafted, I think number 2 overall or something like that by Buffalo. But this is his first ever playoffs. He's already going to the Stanley Cup final, his first ever playoffs appearance. And Eichel's been really good. Count on him to step up in the final as well. What can you say too? Bruce Cassidy, okay, first year's coach of the Vegas Golden Knights after coaching the Boston Bruins for so many years. And look what he does. He takes this team and he says, "Let's go." Puts him on his back, and they are riding him right into the Stanley Cup final. And like I mentioned before with Vegas, they've got a good solid D-core. They're big. They block a lot of shots. They get in those passing lanes. They're very good defensively, and they play well together. And that's a big reason why goalies like Aiden Hill, who's their like 4th string goaltender, he's in the depth chart for Vegas. He's like number 4. Okay, but he's playing very well. His stats, by the way, he's 7-3 since he came in to the playoffs, because it started off, he didn't start at the playoffs for Vegas, but he's 7-3 since he's been in net. He's got a 2.07 goals against average and a 937 save percentage. So almost the same type of numbers that Bobrovsky had. So this is going to come down to goaltending. This Stanley Cup final really is going to be the Hill against Bobrovsky. And I think Sergei's got the edge. He's a more experienced goaltender. I don't know. You know what I mean? You can't forget, too, the defense on Vegas, right? We just talked about. Florida's defense isn't bad. Brandon Montour, he's good. Former Duck. Ducks drafted that guy. Shouldn't have ever traded him, but they did. He's playing. He's got like 6 goals, I think, in the playoffs. He logs tons of minutes. So Florida's got their shit together, okay, just like Vegas does. So this is going to be an epic battle. It really is. Starts on Saturday, guys. You got to watch it. Saturday, game 1. It's at T-Mobile in the desert, Vegas, okay? So go check it out, Vegas and the Panthers. Moving on from that, okay, let's just talk a little bit about the head coaches in the NHL, and then we'll wrap this up. So lots of coaching changes. There's been some recent ones, so that's why I wanted to touch on these. So Hines, the coach of the Nashville Predators, he was their coach for 4 years. He has been let go. Okay, Barry Trotz, who's going to be taking over as GM July 1st, I believe, for David Poirier. He had some comments about how he was, very pleased with what Hines did, considering all the players they let go there at the deadline. They still hung in there, and they almost made the playoffs, but not quite. It was actually the first time they failed to make the playoffs since 2013-14 season, the 13-14 season. So he's been let go, and he is now on the market. So we'll see if anybody picks him up. Peter Laviolette, former Caps coach, was let go already as well. Brad Larson, Columbus Blue Jackets, he was let go. Daryl Sutter, Calgary, he was let go. Gerald Gallant, The New York Rangers, no longer their head coach. And then, of course, we all know Dallas Eakins and his dumbass is gone. The Anaheim Ducks and Pat Verbeek sent him packing. Thank goodness. The Caps have already hired their new head coach, Spencer Carberry. Today, Tuesday. He was basically the assistant coach for a couple of years in Toronto. So there you go. We'll see how well he does in Washington. The Anaheim Ducks, which is what this channel is primarily about. Obviously, we are looking for a coach, a new bench boss. Pat Verbeek wants to have one hired and ready to go before the draft. We'll see if that is going to happen. Now, there's a lot of candidates out there now, right? I mean, Laviolette, Brad Larson, I wouldn't want to touch. Daryl Sutter, I wouldn't want him to go there. Gerald Gallant, maybe. But Laviolette, maybe. There's lots of people. There's still Mike Babcock's out there. There are other good coaches that we can go through. And there's probably, just like the Caps hired an assistant, there's always that route. There's several names that's circulating out there that Pat Verbeek has already talked to. And you can go check those out, read articles about all that. But it's going to happen. I just hope it happens pretty soon so we know who it is and we can move on from there, right? And get to the draft and see who we pick. Probably Fantilli. And then from there, go to free agency, which opens July 1st. And see who we start signing. I can't wait. It's going to be a great offseason. Just like last year, we're going to have an awesome offseason. Ducks fans, you got to watch. Pay attention. Pay attention to everything. Okay, if you guys don't have the NHL app on your phones, okay, if you're a Ducks fan and you don't, any hockey fan, okay, if you don't have the NHL app on your phone, you're not a hockey fan. Okay, you got to get that app on your phone. It will alert you for every single thing that happens that's newsworthy, right? Which is just about everything, right? Okay, and you'll know, oh, wow. Okay, I get notifications on a daily, and I look at them and I go, oh, wow. But when the off season comes around and there's trades and there's free agent signings and there's all this crazy shit going on, it is the best thing to have because my phone will light up like crazy telling me what's going on. And sometimes it's really interesting stuff. Sometimes it's stuff I don't care about, but doesn't matter. Get it. And one other thing, okay? Anaheim and Pat Verbeek have hired a new coach in San Diego. Okay, the Gulls, the Ducks AHL affiliate. A cat named Matt McIlvaine. Now, I had a subscriber comment to me about this cat before he got hired. And I thought maybe that they were looking at him to be the Ducks head coach. I did some research. I watched some articles about him, read some articles about him, and watched some video about him. And I was like, wow, I really like this guy. He's young. He's like 37, but he's really savvy. Real calm, cool, collected, a good young player type of guy. A guy, he's already a young guy. And I think that as far as our development goes, as far as the young guys coming up through San Diego, who eventually obviously would be playing for the Anaheim Ducks, the big team, he seems like the perfect fit. He's won championships in Europe, being the coach, assistant coach, and head coach for teams in Europe. And he's had a lot of success over there. So I have a feeling he's going to bring that with him to San Diego. And I'm really excited to see how well he does down there. So we have so many young players coming up through the system, especially on the D side, right? So this guy, McIlvaine, is going to help them develop and become amazing players for the big club. And we can watch them tear it up on the ice, right? So anyways, there you go. I will be coming back at you again, hopefully this weekend. I'll do some more videos. Been super busy with my new job and work, so it's been hard for me, but I have not forgotten about you guys. I will not forget about you guys. I need your help to blow this channel up. We are growing. Even though it's been a few weeks since I put out a video, it is still growing. Things are happening, and it's nice to see because I'm not actively involved as much as I'd like to be, but again, I still have to make money and keep a roof over my head, right? So help me though. Help me blow this channel up so I can make this my full-time job. That's the goal, okay? I want to do this all the time, man. All the time. So help me do it. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash the like button, leave me comments, let me know what you think, And I will see you guys on the next one. See ya.